Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to join our virtual conference concerning the Wi-Fi prevention and management of COVID-19 pandemic in Taiwan. I am Enrique Tzu, the host today. First, welcome our Dr. Bin Wu, Deputy Superintendent from Hualien Tzu Medical Center for opening remarks.
Good morning, doctors and friends. I'm Dr. Wu Bingan, the Vice Superintendent from Hualien Tzu Medical Center. First, thank you everyone for attending Controlling the Wi-Fi Prevention and Management of COVID-19 Pandemics in Taiwan. I'm glad to have this opportunity to give the opening remarks for this virtual conference. All we know this year, COVID-19 has rapidly affected our daily life, business, disrupt the world trade and movements. A lot of countries has resulted in numerous impacts during this hard period. We tried our best to find the solutions to cope with this crisis. Hopefully, the spread of this virus could be well controlled. Today, an international virtual conference is helping to move from in-person gathering to a virtual implementation. We thank to co-host of Dr. Liu Junrong from Zhanghua Christian Hospital and Dr. Zheng Shunxian from Hualien Tzu Medical Center, sharing their precious experiences and responses within COVID-19 pandemics, and especially thanks Dr. Ona, the closest neighbor and friends from the Philippines. We aim to give the closing remarks and consistently engage with Hualien Tzu Medical Center and Taiwan. With everybody stay healthy and safe and enjoy this conference. Thank you so much.
Thanks for Dr. Bin Wu, the inspiration of living. And then we would like to welcome Mr. Pei Yongxu, representative of Taipei Economic and Cultural Office for opening remarks.
Vice Superintendent Dr. Wu Bingan, Hualien Tzu Medical Center, Dr. Enrique Ona, my old and good friend, Dr. Nina Gao of Overseas Medical Mission Center, Zhanghua Christian Hospital. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, 早安, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, Hualien Tzu Medical Center and the Zhanghua Christian Hospital. Both are the leading medical institutes in Taiwan and have been selected by my government to deepen medical cooperation with the Philippines and Thailand, respectively, under the One Country, One Center project. On behalf of the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, I sincerely welcome you to attend today's webinar. As you are aware that Taiwan model in fighting against COVID-19 pandemic has won worldwide recognition. This has been attributed to the concerted efforts among Taiwanese government, people, and society as a whole. If you ask me what the most important element is for Taiwan's success in fighting against this pandemic, I would say transparency and honesty. Let me share with you one recent example. A few days ago, there were confirmed cases of Filipino workers returning from Taiwan, informed by Taiwan CDC and the Philippine government. Taiwan Central Epidemic Command Center took those cases seriously, conducted contact tracing, and communicated with its Philippine counterpart. Fortunately, all the results of the RT-PCR and antibody testing of those confirmed cases close contacts in Taiwan were negative. My government handled this case one step further by announcing the information and what we have done to the public. Being transparent and honest to the public, my government wins the trust of the people in Taiwan. Trust in the government makes people fight this unknown enemy together. Hospital cooperation and support also plays a crucial role. Today's webinar will shine the light on another aspect of Taiwan's success to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. By sharing Taiwan's hospitals' experience, I trust the participating doctors and experts will benefit from Taiwan's best practice and do their jobs better. The Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in the Philippines serves as a bridge to connect Taiwan and the Philippines. Health cooperation is one of the important areas that we are working with the Philippines. Physical and mental health is a basic human right. By working closely, I believe we can achieve the goal of attaining the highest possible level of health for each and every one of us. Furthermore, working together, we will be able to win the battle against COVID-19 pandemic. I wish this event a great success and our distinguished guests good health. Thank you. 谢谢. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay.
The first speaker is Dr. Sun Xianzhen, infectious disease specialist from Hualien Tzu Medical Center. Today he is going to present the topic about epidemic prevention experience sharing from Taiwan. How does Hualien Tzu Medical Center respond when facing threats from COVID-19? Let's welcome Dr. Sun Xianzhen.
My name is Dr. Jimmy Day. I'm an infectious disease specialist who have been serving in Hualien Tzu Medical Center for the past 5 years.
Today, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the organizer, the New Southbound Office, for organizing this momentous online meeting. I sincerely hope that through these actions, we Hualien Tzu can to share our experience regarding how we react when we're facing a threat from the COVID-19 to our friend from the other side of the Paris channel. Okay, before I start my sharing, I would like to make a brief introductions about the whereabouts of our hospital. Tzu Medical Center was located in the Hualien City. It is at the eastern part of Taiwan, and it is about 200 kilometers away from our capital, Taipei City. And Tzu Medical Center was founded in 1986 by the Master Zheng Yan. And our hospital has 4 main buildings within our hospital compound. Okay, the building A, B, C, D was named according to the sequence of the construction phases. So we are a medical center with total beds of 972, and we have currently 2,632 employees. And the doctor numbers of our hospital is 424. And we have 65 ICU beds now. And this in this crucial moment, we have 10 isolation rooms. So now let me update the confirmed COVID-19 cases in Taiwan. So up to yesterday, we have 509 confirmed cases. And you can see from the chart that in Taiwan, we have a spike of number in the late March. Then after that, the whole situations become much relief. So first of all, we want to fight this war. Some basic requirement we really need to do. So we really encourage and we educate our staff to wash their hands frequently. And also, the cough etiquette is strictly applied here. The most importantly, we think that to wear a face mask is a must. So not only for us, we also want the visitors who come to our hospital to wear a face mask. They are prohibited if they did not wear any face mask. And of course, needless to mention, our hospital do practicing the social distancing in our daily activities. In Taiwan, our Central Epidemic Command Center was set up in the late January 2020. And all the hospital and all the medical institutions in Taiwan are following the step of this CECC. Because we think that we will follow all the regulation and the guidelines which are issued by the CECC. Okay, and the poster notifications are actually in sync with CECC. To toe the line with the governments is the best strategy at this crucial moment. So no doubt that we are facing a big trouble now. So, and this COVID-19 can be considered as the worst contagious crisis in the history of the humankind. So, literally, we can say that we are actually in a war now. To fight with this invisible enemy, we need a teamwork. Okay. I remember the founder of the Ford Motor, Mr. Henry Ford, has ever said that nothing is particularly hard if you divided it into small jobs. And indeed, now we team up and we make each of us play a big role. So, in the late February 2020, our hospital, a former hospital incident command system, is the pillar of the COVID-19 outbreak response. And everyone can see from the organizational chart that this system covers all the vital and essential aspects. We are well prepared to fight for this war. And the HISS meeting was held 3 times per week. And the meeting was temporarily withheld since June 2020, as the pandemic situation in Taiwan has been much relieved. So we realize that in this special moment, everyone get panicked. So everyone will rush for the required material. So the inventory checking is very necessary. So in our hospital, we are running the mass rationing plan. Means if you want to get a face mask, you got to register first. In the hospital, we are executing a super strict access control. Basically, we have 4 steps to go. When the patient is going to enter our hospital, they need to insert an NHI card. The NHI stands for the National Health Insurance. Later on, I will give a very detailed explanation about this powerful card. And secondly, the visitor have to show their visitor badge to our security guard for the identifications. And after that, we will provide the alcohol hand sanitizer for all the incoming people. And a temperature screening is a must-do procedure for the visitors. And I did show you the main buildings, the main 4 buildings, which constitute in our hospital. Let me show you now the aerial view of our hospital. The red dots and the green dots are the accesses of our hospital, and the red dots are the main access. So we only open a few accesses 24 hourly, with someone stand guard on the side. And for the rest, we will be opening for a certain hours every day. Basically a 9 to 5 mode. For the visitors, we have some restriction for them too. Only 2 visitors is permit per person for visiting. And all this on my right hand side, you can see a form there, which was written in Chinese character. So all the visitors need to fill up their name, their informations, and whether they have symptoms or whether they have close contact with those who are confirmed COVID cases. At the beginning, we also make some mistake, but we learn the mistake from our lessons. Initially, we use a kind of a traditional forehead thermometer, but not soon later, we found that it is quite inefficacious. Plus, we get a lot of complaints from the visitors. They're complaining that the way of measuring is too close to them, and this is very embarrassing, especially at the same time we are promoting the social distancing to our visitors, so it's quite contradicted. So to solve this problem, at last we purchased 5 sets of infrared thermometer, and we found that the effect is marvelous, it's good, it's efficient. So for those patients who we are highly suspected to have the get infected with the COVID, we will guide them. We will bring them to our COVID-19 clinic. This COVID clinic is set up at the outdoor environment, which is very close to our ER. So the suspected patients need to see a doctor first. Then after that, we will do a X-ray on the spot immediately. If the doctor think that the patients need to be screened, so we will guide the patients to a specimen collection chamber, which is shown at the bottom of this slide. I will make a detailed introduction about these stations. And this is, I think this is a highlight of our hospital. We call it the negative pressure specimen collection chamber. So it is purely DIY by the crafty hands of our colleagues from the public works department. We turn the bad into good. We make use of the discarded things. We use the wasted wood or steel. And slowly, gradually, we transform it into a usable device. And we repeat and repeat and test the tested and making the machine better. So at last, we install the negative pressure motor. Also, we install the UV light sanitizer. and the product is ready to be used on the 24th, 5th, 2020. This is a front view of the chamber. So we think that with this chamber, both the patient and doctor will feel less tense and more easy during the specimen collections. We also put an iPad at the wall of the chamber. The iPad will demonstrate the process of how the doctors are going to get the specimen. We believe that this can make the patient less tense. So we have a side window, a small window on the side of the chamber. After we finish the all the procedure, the patient will can extend their hand, or his hand or her arms, from the negative pressure chamber, and the nurses can safely collect the blood sample from the patient without a very close contact. So we are not only making this device, the ER doctor also written down all the making process and get the whole things published. And finally, this the whole process was published in a very renowned academic journal. And until now, the total number of our screening number is about 636. And luckily, the confirmed cases in our hospital is still 0. We realize that in these crucial moments, we need to monitor the health condition of our staff. So we come up with a few ideas. Firstly, for the nurses and the other employee, we will ask them some questions about whether they are fever, if they has close contact with someone coming from abroad. Okay, we will ask them to fill out the answer during the card punching moment. And for the doctor and the high-ranking administrator, we ask them to download a Taiwan-made app called Survey Cake. You can see the slogan of this survey cake. The slogan is making survey a piece of cake. Okay, so every day 6, 7 a.m. exactly, in our smartphone, we will receive this daily TOCC survey, and we need to fill out 5 questions. The content is your name, whether you're on duty today, whether you're fever, are you having cough? And we're also asking a cluster history. So from our experience, these 5 questions only needs about 5 to 6 seconds to finish. So to me, it is not very troublesome and it's not very irritating. So for myself, I don't mind to fill it up for the good of the hospital. So if you refuse to do so, you fail to do so, you did not fill up anything. So we have a tracking system to track down who did not do this thing. So our staff will make a friendly call to this person and to give some concern and advice. So we also offer the education and training to all the nurses, administrators, the PGYs, and the interns, and also our volunteers and cleaners. Besides that, we invited a lot of scholars come to visit us. For example, the former Minister of Health, Professor Ye Jingchuan, was invited, and he came and she gave a lot of advice and good suggestion and instruction to us. In the previous slide, I did mention that we have some kind of card called NHI card. Let me give some detail about it. It is very multi-functions and very powerful. It has a chip inside. So from the chip card, we can know the basic data, the name, the ID, the birthday, expiry date of the patients. And we also can know about the insurance data. And also the medical case data. And all these data go to the pharma cloud system. So it means that when we insert the card into the card machine, we can fully know the what is the previous lab test data or the medication patients was given by other hospital. Also, your childhood vaccination records, organ donation records, all are inside the chip. And our government really make a good use of this chip. And since the March of this year, they have linked with our Internal Affairs government. So we can use this chip to trace the traveling history of the patients. In our ward, in our clinic, we have a card machine there. So once the card, NIH card got inserted, so immediately some information will pop up, such as for these patients, we know that he was just entered into Taiwan from the Xiamen city of China on 17 January 2020. So we can take some action about it. And also our system make a good health too. Through our registration system, we are able to track down on the traveling history of each and every the outpatient department patients the one day before their clinic attending day. Take an example. If patient A, he is supposed to visit our OPD clinic on the 18th of February 2020. So one day before, on 17th February, we check in our 2-hour system, we get a list of all the patients going to attend the clinic the next day. So we have a screen and we search out that there's someone just enter into Taiwan from Shenzhen. Our staff will quickly rank up that patients and everything's will be settled outside the hospital compound. One thing we settle or we rank out the patient, we'll check the patient health status. If the patient only has some tiny ailment, we just ask the patients to rest at home first, see how is the progression. If the patient is really sick, we'll ask the patient to come to our ER COVID clinic immediately.
Di ba mag-vlog si Doc Mendoza?
Oo.
Doc, fracture naman sa kanya.
Ano aksidente?
Mag-vlog sa
Last
sabi ni Doc.
Sunday, hindi niya sinabi, Doc eh. Basta last Sunday.
Nagmumotor ba siya?
Siya, na-fracture yung right hand niya.
Kapag sinalag niya yung pali ng kapatid.
So, our
Kasi Doc,
NHI systems also including
hindi naman siya kasi nagsabi.
a kind of like refillable prescriptions for the patients with a chronic
Hello po, Doc
illness.
Lai.
It means the patients, if they have hypertension, they do not need to come to our hospital every month to collect their medication. They only need to come to our clinic every 3 months. Mean the first one for the examples, look at the blog I showed that day. In the early January, they just come to visit the doctor and get the refillable prescriptions. And for the next one, in the second month, they just need to come to our hospital lobby to get registered, and directly they can go to the pharmacy to collect their medicine. But anyhow, this way still will create our crowding at our hospital lobby. This is something that we don't want to see. So for that, we adopted the idea from the drive-through of McDonald's or the Jollibee. So we're making a local style of pharma through. So this is a view of our hospital. So
Sige,
just
continue muna lang.
see
Tapos
the red color arrow. So the patient just need to drive in with these one-way directions. And can you see the purple spot at the left-hand side? So that is our pharma-through stations. We make a station there, so the patient just need to stop their car on the road. They no need to come down totally. So the fully equipped staff will attend them and go to them and bring the medication to them. After they have collected the medication, the patient can drive away out from our hospital. So we think that the safety are paramount, especially when they are carrying out some very dangerous procedure. So for almost all our doctors are getting a well training to use a video laryngoscope during the trachea intubations. So not only that, we also innovate a kind of scalable and protective transparent face shells. It is considered a very safe device when we are doing some close contact procedure. The drills, we think that the drills is very important. They can shape up our skills and can enhance our alertness and can polish up our competence regarding the suspected COVID-19 patients. So we almost in every ward and for every doctor, we hosting a lot of drills for them. So before the drill, we always will offer orientations prior to the conduct of the transporting of the patient to isolation room. And we will have the surrogate patients. And we ask the surrogate patients to give some line, such as, "Oh, doctor, I don't know why suddenly I lost the sense of taste and smell. What is going on to me?" So we hope that this line can catch the attention of the doctors and will alert the doctors to inform the sister of the ward and to activate the transporting mode. So after we activate it, the whole ward will be start busy. The security will call the cleaner, the security guard to come, and the nurses will be prepared for the PPE for the doctors. And the security guard will come to put the safety line. Then after that, you can see that we'll clean off all the corridor and they'll put the line and cordon off the whole corridor and they will control the lift. So this is our isolation room. The doctors with the PPE will make the specimen collections. So during the drill, we also take this opportunity to assess the skill of the PPE taking off process, whether it is good enough or whether there's something that we need to be correct. So at last is a feedback moment. So we discuss, we talk, and especially the infectious disease doctor like me and our infectious control team will give advice and make it as a record. So in our isolation room, we have 10 isolation rooms. Inside there, we have CCTV and an inbuilt microscope. a microfoam. Sorry, microfoam. So we make it because we think that in these sections, the telecommunication is very important. Also, we are 2 rooms providing the hemodialysis device. So it is good for those patients who need to dialysis in the room. So during that time, we rented and want to try something called the UD robots. The robot was, if I'm not mistaken, is a Danish product. So this product can do the job, can travel around the world by himself and without the human interventions. And he can use the UV light to do the disinfections. And the amazing part, which I think, is that if the robot is running out of the battery, the machine can go back to his dots and recharge by itself. So our pharmacies also do a great job. They try to update the latest COVID-19 therapy. Take it as an example. If you still remember, in the 17th March of 2020, there's a French paper announced that they have a treatment for the COVID-19. They use a hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin to make a marvelous treatment for the COVID-19 patients. So immediately our pharmacists inform the SISC, and the system quickly make an inventory checking on these 2 medications. And also they issue a restricted authorizations. So the hydroxychloroquine only can be prescribed by the rheumatologist, and only the infectious disease specialist is able to prescribe the azithromycin. So after months and months of working and fighting, finally, I think every staff here getting very stressful and exhausted. So luckily, this psychologists and the psychiatrists heard our cry and come for help and offer us the way of decompressions. So we are not helping in our hospital. We also helping those who are outside our hospital. In Hualien City, altogether we have 4 major universities. So they do have some foreign students coming back from abroad or from Hong Kong or Macau. So that time they have some quarantine cases in the dormitory. So the school staff don't know what to do. They get confused about what is the thing they should do or they shouldn't do. So they call help to the Hualien County Health Bureau. So the director of the bureau call us to help. So we go to the campus, go into campus, okay? We have a lot of conversation with them. They ask questions, we answer, okay? Also, we give them a contact, we establish a contact channel to them. Because we think that although they are not inside our hospital compound, but we are actually bound together. If they suffer, we suffer too. If they have cases, the cases finally we come to our hospital too. So our hospital owns one of the biggest bone marrow bank in Asia. In late April, we got a call from Singapore General Hospital. They have a leukemia patients and desperately need to get a bone marrow transplant. So we finally found a matched bone marrow, and we asked the Singaporean representative to meet us up at the Hualien airport. We put our pomaro on the table, and later on, the Singaporean representative had come and take the pomaro away. So the whole process was zero contact. And even though we are busy in a clinical work, but we also not get lax in research publishing. So we try our best to write some good articles and get these articles published to some renowned academic journals. I think now come to the end of my speech. We are facing a war now, and hopefully what Donald Trump said about this COVID-19 will be true. I remember the President Trump ever said that this virus will disappear very soon. I hope that what he said will be correct. I thanks again for your listening this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for Dr. Zheng's informative sharing, and I hope it's very helpful for you to prevent the COVID-19 in the Philippines. We would like to invite the second speaker to have his sharing. Let's welcome Dr. Junrong Liu, attending physician, Division of Infectious Disease from Zhanghua Christian Hospital. He's going to present the topic about response to COVID-19 in Zhanghua Christian Hospital. Let's welcome Dr. Junrong Liu.
Thank you. This is my honor and pleasure to have a small talk about response to COVID-19 in Zhanghua Christian Hospital. As you know, there are more than 31 millions of cases in the world. And I also know there are almost 300,000 of cases in Philippines, your country. And however, in Taiwan, we only have 509 cases. So I believe your clinical experience will be more and better than we have in Taiwan, because we have only very limited cases here. Up to yesterday, COVID-19 in Zhanghua Christian Hospital, we have only 11 cases. And in Zhanghua County, we have 18 cases. The first one is a female businesswoman. She came back from Wuhan, China on January 25th. And she presented as a severe pneumonia. And the last case in our hospital was an Indonesian businessman. He came back on April 1st. And the last discharge patient was 28th April this year. And we also should have noticed we have a case, student 18 years old, when he came back in Taiwan 21st March and was confirmed to be positive on 27th March this year. This all we have. According to we look at this patient, we administer oseltamivir at the initial stage. Almost most of them receive oseltamivir, and a few of them receive levofloxacin too. However, according to current advice from WHO, it's not necessary to prescribe both medicine to patients. They are only mild to moderate disease. And we do not use hydroxychloroquine or an azithromycin. Most of our patients, we have performed CT scan for them, and almost most of them have evidence of pneumonia too. So to sum up our clinical demography in our hospital, there are 8 cases imported. Only 3 cases are local transmission, and 6 male, 5 female. The median age was 30 years old, and it ranged from 18 to 88 years old. The median admission duration is about 30 days, because at that time, according to Taiwan CDC regulation, to be discharged, a patient needs to have 3 consecutive negative respiratory tract specimens for SARS-CoV-2. It's before June 17th. And we have 3 cases mild illness and a moderate pneumonia, 7 cases, 1 severe pneumonia case. We have no critical patients. If we look at the first case, woman, she presented at high fever, and we especially look at the saturation of pulse oximeter. It declined gradually to 92%, where it persists for 3 days. Patient refused to receive oxygen therapy. However, fortunately, the SpO2 increased gradually, and her fever declined rapidly to at the 10 days admission. And her husband is transmitted by her, although he had no fever at all during the hospital stay, but we could detect the pulse rate is have a cardiac the initial 10 days. Later, it's returned to within normal limits. So, yeah. So it's about our clinical cases. We have very limited cases here. But I think to protect healthcare workers first is to preserve hospital, then to save life, then it means to protect the community. It's very important. So we need to have a traffic control bundle. We may call it COVID-19 care pathway. We need to triage outside of the hospital, and we have zone of risk, such as contamination area, transition area, or clean zones. To do the contamination and the growing in transitional zone, we also have restrict requirement and protocol for personal protective equipment use, PPE use, and at each checkpoint, we have hand disinfections. After that, we also need to have some enhanced traffic control bundle. For example, we have an isolation ward in contamination zone and a quarantine ward in transitional zone for patients with atypical manifestation or waiting for final diagnosis of SARS-CoV-2 infection. And all personnel, visitors, and staff entering hospital need to have hand disinfection and face masks. In Taiwan, face mask was first announced to be mandatory in Changhua County Mayor on January 28th. The first county need to have this. Later, whole Taiwan, we need to wear a face mask thereafter. From the traffic control, we enhance traffic control bundle. We would like to block is from the hospital and the wide community transmission. If we do not have hand hygiene or face masking, they would be patient came to hospital and transmission the virus to the hospital. And some hospital patient may go back to the community, and it will exacerbate the community epidemic. And at each checkpoint, the green area means clean zone, and the yellow transitional, red for dirty zones. At each point, we have checkpoint for hand disinfection. And when hospital visitor come into from the main entrance. But however, some patients, because they have outdoor triage station, they are suspected to be COVID-19 case. They will be directly transported, admitted to isolation room, or they are in quarantine period. They will be enter the transitional zone area. If we look at the face mask, or we say N95 respirator, there is strong evidence there are over 98% coverage, fitted filtration efficacy. If the use of surgical mask with tie, the efficacy decreased to 71%. However, it is still better than surgical mask with ear loop. It's reached 38%. But if we have nothing on our face, now 0%. So we need to have this protect ourselves. And if we look at the surgical mask and an N95 mask, could they to filter out influenza virus? Yes, they do. They have equally effective in preventing spreading of influenza. If the data show could not detect it. But it will be a little bit harder to have this. If we look at SARS-CoV-2 in a Korea study, we could find they do not completely stop spreading. But we look at the baseline data, it was 7.6 and it decreased to 3.5 copies per log copy per mil. So we wear a mask could prevent spreading, but not complete. But we also should notice if the mask, we check the inside and outside, we would find the outside surface is more dirty than the inner side of the face mask. In the whole pandemic period, in Taiwan, we have a Central Epidemic Command Center. They have daily 1-hour press communication, policy announcement, education to the public. In fact, all Taiwan hospital, we obey the regulation released from CEPC. And for example, the public education for home isolation or quarantine, self-health monitoring, hand hygiene, alcohol or soap with water, avoid touching face, ears, nose, mouth, mask use, environment disinfection, alcohol or house reach. For public aggregation, indoor limited up to 100%, outdoor up to 500%. And they also encourage have social distancing, indoor 1.5 meter and outdoor 1 meter. If this social distancing could not be maintained, we need to wear a mask. And in Taiwan, we also have a very strong Taiwan mask team. Within 25 days, 60 industry line was built up on March 6th. And we have very convenient to buy our medical grade mask. For convenience store and pharmacy store could buy, we have also pharmacy map to identify where we still have the mask available. For this system, we use Taiwan National Health ID card to provide. Since 2004, that is post-SARS period, we did many things, such as annual accreditation for infection prevention and control by Taiwan CDC. It includes all hospital, medical center, regional hospital, and local community hospitals. And since 2009, we have alcohol-based hand hygiene at each checkpoint, such as door, corridor, and each bed, we could see here alcohol bottle here. And in Zhanghua Christian Hospital, we have a similar to Zhuji Medical Center hospital incident command system. And in our hospital, we have many meetings for the regulation of COVID-19. And the infection control and prevention units, we developed more than 80 standard operating procedures solved for COVID-19. It covers everywhere from A to Z. From the patient come to the door of ER, to the transportation, examination, to in the ward stay, and then to the discharge. Everything included. We offer many posters to restrict access control, visitor restriction, all should wear a mask. You need to have a health ID card and obey the in and out line regulated by the hospital. And we also announce to public we're hospital opening hour, and we advise, encourage our patient and family to use video chat for prevent contact. And this is the photos for restricted limited gate for patient and visitor. And we should not go from this gate on the right hand side. And each door, each gate, it means checkpoint. We enter the hospital, we need to wash hands. That is to protect hospital. When we leave exist, we have alcohol here too. We wash hands to protect family and the community. Here is a lab for the SARS-CoV-1 and the SARS-CoV-2. How long will they persist in the air? It takes 3 hours. The half-life is 3 hours to decline. However, on the copper surface, it takes SARS-CoV-2 take 4 hours to undetect it. On the cardboard, take 24 hours. And the stainless steel or plastic surface, it takes 3 days to be undetected. So how long will SARS-CoV survive in hands? The virus will live long enough until we wash our hands. And here is the each door. We could see similar system as Tzu Hospital, infrared for fever, and health ID card for traveling abroad and quarantine person. And we put a yellow mark for pass, for them they have pass. And we have regulation for the accompanying the patient. Only one person with card is permitted to stay in hospital. If he or she had fever or respiratory symptoms are not allowed. And 14 days history of traveling or contact is not allowed too. He or she need to present accompanying card when they enter the ward or the hospital gates. We have developed a medicine to go with patients with chronic prescription because patients don't like to go inside the hospital. So in the outdoor open field area, we developed this. They can very easily come here to register, and later they will get their medicine and go. We also have telemedicine for quarantine patients because they are not allowed to come to a hospital. But if they are sick, they need to come to a hospital for visits. So we have outdoor quarantine clinics just beside the ER area. They come here and our doctor will check their condition here. They are not allowed to go to inside the main building. And just beside the outdoor, ER, we have instant sample collection area. For some person, government tells them they need to have a blood test or sputum test. They come here outdoor. They do not go inside the hospital. So at the ER, emergency departments, we have a triage report condition. Here is 17th edition. Now, more than 30 editions have been revised. For fever, respiratory tract symptoms, abnormal taste or smell, and explain diarrhea, they come here. If they have 14-day travel abroad history, they go to ERA area and take chest rentgens, and to find out pneumonia or not. And if necessary, they will be admitted to a hospital. In other conditions, they might be cluster, family cluster, or school cluster. Or some physicians suspect they are in some special condition. They will go to ER in B area for chest X-ray to show pneumonia or not. Or some area we have high suspect respiratory tract infection from the community. We will put them in respiratory area, such as this photo with subdivision patient in ER. For patients, they have respiratory tract symptoms. They will be placed in respiratory zone here, light pink area. And if they have no respiratory tract symptoms, they will be placed in non-respiratory zone. Subdivision is very important in hospital flow. When they have some conditions, they need to be admitted to hospital. We have airborne infection isolation room here, five in our nurse station, and for room quarantine and pneumonia ward. If they come back to Taiwan, they need to be quarantined, but they do not. They have no pneumonia, but they still need to stay in single room. We put them in quarantine room, or if they have pneumonia, they will be placed in pneumonia room. Each room has 4 beds, but we only receive 1 patient there. Here is a flow of airborne isolation room, and we also in our intensive care units, ICU, medical ICU or surgical ICU, we have airborne isolation room for our patient. We perform on-site education and training, teach them how to donning and doffing their personal PPE. And here is the personal PPE equipment. We have a write-down policy. In what condition they show surgical mask, or they need to have N95 mask, glove, gown, etc. In different conditions, we write it very clear. At each site, in need, we have the protocol, the procedure for personal equipment to donning and to doffing. So our staff could look at this poster and do it very safely. Of course, we have another person at the beside to look at them. They are not contaminate themselves. For negative pressure operation room, we have built a negative pressure operation room for our patients. If they need to have emergent operation, here is a new building, and we could look at, we check the air flow correctly. So in our hospital, we almost delay all non-emergent examination and surgery for COVID-19 confirmed case. All the exposure to confirm in this case, that means they are in quarantine or 14-day travel abroad history. They need to have 14-day quarantine in Taiwan. We delay this procedure for them. But if they have a very serious condition, they need to be checked. So it would be better to have negative SARS-CoV-2 as possible. But we also have some sub for imaging examination for CT scan, surgery, AMI, stroke or delivery. For example, most of our patients, we do CAT scan to confirm their severity. So we have the protocol, how to prepare the patient, transport patient to a CT room, and how to protect the room and the staff in CT area. And we also developed a dormitory for our staff in need because they could not go home for some reason. So we have a dormitory for them to stay in that period. So the most important thing is to bypass flow to subdivision at the ER, OPD, or ward as possible. We need to very sure pollution zone to set up isolation room, quarantine ward, and the breakpoint pollution hand washing, the more the better. So before vaccine is available, facial masking could be served as a potential for variation, and alcohol could be served as a chemical variation. It's golden protection in Taiwan. I think it would be true for all over the world. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Dr. Liu's precious sharing. Now it's the group discussion time. If you have any question to share with Dr. Liu and Dr. Chen, please feel free to talk.
Hello.
Hello.
I might as well ask a question, taking advantage of this opportunity. Is this practice that you are imposing in your hospital now a national practice of the entire country? Or is this particularly only to your two identified medical centers?
Donara, thank you for your questions. Are you asking that whether the procedure, the precautions we are doing now is following the step with the is standardized universally? Are you asking that?
Yes, whether it is the practice now of the entire of the 18 medical centers in Taiwan.
I think most of the measure we are doing now is almost the same, but there's a little difference also, such as the negative pressure, isolation, collection chamber. I think this is the first one we have been used in Taiwan, and for the rest, I think it's almost the same.
I see.
I hope that I have answered your questions.
Yes.
Okay.
In short, what you are saying is this has been essentially adopted by the entire government or by the entire health system.
Yes, I can, yes.
So Dr. Ona, can I have a question for the Philippines?
I'll try to answer it.
Yeah.
I can and I know. Yeah.
As I know that in Philippines there are the many more cases. So I think you have a lot of experience in the hospitals, government to how to deal with this situation. I think the government, they have your policy, and the hospitals, they should follow the policy to control the pandemic. So we would like to know how about the Philippines, your policy, and how about that hospitals to deal with those patients.
Of course, the difficulty we have in the Philippines is the capacity of our hospital system to implement what maybe most of us really would like to do, but are unable to do because of certain limitations in equipment or supplies. And I think that is a major impediment and a major reason why up to the present, the pandemic is still something to worry about in our country. If I might even show you, I don't know whether you will see this. Do you see the?
We couldn't see you because that
Well,
your video is not focused. Yeah.
Yes, just to give you the headline of one of our major papers this morning. It says that our Department of Health as is worried because COVID critical care cases are spiking in the Philippines as of today. And just to give you an example, as of this morning's paper, we have another 2,180 cases that are confirmed and 36 deaths. This is just on 24 hours. And the total number of cases that have been confirmed as of today in the Philippines is 296,755. And just to emphasize to you the concern of our government as well as of the people in the light of this continuing increase in number, despite the fact that overall, actually, there has been a slow reduction in the severity of the epidemic or the pandemic, but at the same time, a great worry on our part. And I hope that we will not enter the so-called second wave of this pandemic. And of course, this is to a certain part a very informative seminar that you have presented this morning, something that we, not only in the Philippines, but globally, should be very thankful to your government.
Another question that, because in Taiwan, in particular in our hospital, we integrate Chinese medicine with the Western medicine together to care of the patient, and the results are quite significant. And I don't know, in Philippines, do you also use this to combine with the Chinese medicine and Western medicine together?
Well, yes, of course, we have had quite a bit of discussion and even differences in opinion, as well as maybe resulting in the delay on the implementation of what probably today we consider the most important practices that would control the spread of the disease. But before I proceed, may I ask if you were to give 5 major recommendation to control a country's spread as of today, may I ask from either Dr. Lee or Dr. Te or to Dr. Liu for their opinion, not only on the public health aspect, but principally in the hospital. Considering that most countries, of course, would be unable to follow exactly the practices that you have enunciated this morning.
Dr. Liu, would you like to answer the question from Dr. Ona?
I think five major issue we need to do is face masks. A mask is very important, and the hand washings and the social distancing. I think these three is most important for personal protection. But we also need to have in hospital we need to subdivision or bypass the flow if possible. If in your case in Philippines there are so many patients they got COVID-19, I would advise if it's possible to have a cabin mobile hospital such as in China, Wuhan, China, or other areas. Because we need to separate them. We need to find out who are mild disease and who will become to progress to severe disease. Only the severe condition need to be hospitalized, but we don't know who will be mild or moderate disease. So if the confirmed cases are placed in cabin hospital, we could have a very look at them. And for example, we check their body temperature and respiratory rate. And for O2 saturation, we use O2 pulse oximeter is adequate. If the pulse saturation of pulse oxygen saturation decline gradually down to 94%, it should be referred to hospital and to be admitted there. If they are relatively healthy, they need not to be stay in hospital. They just to stay in cabin mobile hospital, or they to stay at their home. So to educate public is important too. I think these are the 5 things I would recommend. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
Dr.
you.
Liu.
I found that one participant he left his question on the message, and the question is: I would like to know about the disinfection procedures in the different areas of the hospitals in terms of regularity of the disinfection procedure. And secondly, did you have health workers who got infected with COVID-19? So maybe Dr. Liu, because today we not only Dr. Liu with us, we also have that Dr. Lee with us. So I'm not sure Dr. Lee or Dr. Liu can answer the question.
Disinfection procedure is not different in our hospital. We use the same procedure. So we prepare the same condition for all areas. Of course, in COVID-19 confirmed case, we would increase the risk percentage from 500 ppm to 5,000 ppm. It's a main difference in our hospital. And we do not have healthcare worker get COVID-19 in Taiwan. All of them are local transmission or imported transmission. Yeah, we are very lucky, but we think our lucky come from we have good prepared since previous SARS 2003. We do many things in that time. Thank you.
Dr. Liu?
Yeah.
Yes, may I think if there is any country that is so much or so well prepared for the coming of this pandemic, I would say it's Taiwan. And I think you took very serious consideration or study on your previous experience of year 2003. In that particular year, I just would like, is there some 1, 2, or 3 steps or information that you gathered then that you implemented right away that prevented your country to have a further spread of this virus.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it's very important because we have SARS experience. So all the people from Taiwan, we took it very seriously, and I think we are lucky. We are still very safe here, and we hope our experience could have some help for the Philippines. And by the way, Dr. Ona, because I got a question from CDC, because recently we have some cases we export from Taiwan to Philippines, and they were negative test in Taiwan, but actually when they go back to Philippines, they get positive. So we would like to know how do you make the test in the airport for the COVID-19? Can you share, or any other attendees can share the knowledge about how do you test the COVID-19? Because all the patients who has been tested for positive in the Philippines, it's about, I think, 18 cases. And actually, after we test the people around them in Taiwan, they are all negative. So we are very curious, and we would like to know, how do you make the test? Dr. Ona, can you answer me the question?
Well, frankly, I'm not aware of that information, and I'll take time later to verify indeed if that is so. So if that is true.
Okay, understood. So if not any further question, I think it's the end of the conference, and let's welcome Dr. Enrique Ona, former Secretary of Department of Health Philippines, for closing remarks. We hope Dr. Ona can give us give today's virtual conference a wonderful ending.
Thank you. I wish to thank the New Southbound Policy Office of the Republic of China Taiwan government and the TECO office here in Manila for organizing and making this virtual seminar describing how your country successfully controlled the pandemic that still continue to ravage many parts of the world today. During the past 7 to 8 months, I continue to marvel at the continuous report of so few infections and deaths in Taiwan compared with what we hear in many advanced countries in the world. And here we see Taiwan with barely less than 30 million people, with so few an infection and much less fewer deaths, considering that you are so close to the mainland in Wuhan, which was the origin of this pandemic. Your presentation this morning is more than just an opener, not only for us here in the Philippines, but just as important globally, especially now that there is an ongoing fear of a possible second wave that we may experience if we don't do the right thing or the right practices, which I'm convinced now, has made Taiwan that safe today. And that is what we see today as a presentation that all countries should pay attention. And I would again thank you for making this seminar available globally through WebEx. And before I end, I would like to particularly thank Dr. Sun Hyate and Dr. Chun Eng Liu for their very comprehensive presentation, informative, as well as something that we can adapt to a major extent in our country and hopefully even globally. And of course, I'd like to thank Ambassador Xu for making this presentation, this seminar, possible for the entire audience here in the Philippines, and for Anita, Chu, and Karen for their continuing effort to make this relationship between our two countries possible. And with that, let me again thank the Taiwan government and the people of Taiwan, who continues to be very helpful and very friendly to us here in the Philippines. Thank you, and good morning to all of you.
And thanks for everybody for your participation. The special thanks to Dr. Liu and Dr. Zheng, your wonderful speech, and thanks for Ambassador Xu, and thanks to Dr. Ona, Dr. Sai, and every friends. I hope everybody can stay safe, and wish you all the best. Thank you so much.